Today we're going over one of the latest updates to Lost Ark and how we're going to make the most of it on NA and EU. Hopefully at least sometime soon, because it also came with a pretty massive class balance patch, and I want to bonk my way through it just like that big man is bonking away right there. And as per usual, I have to thank you all for all the love on the last video. You guys are absolute legends, and if you need any of the things I'm going to be talking about, they'll all be linked in the description, so while you're down there, you already know what to do. And just remember, my name is Claysthetics, and we're running right into it. And don't forget to like the video. It's the only way YouTube knows I exist. And lighting this off, our favorite, the patch notes. And I've seen a lot of simping and a lot of coping, but we don't cope here, and we always try to make the best of it, even if it's the most based and red-pilled patch I've ever seen any game do, because the new raid is releasing with normal at 1580 and hard mode at 1600, but only less than 2% of the player base can do hard mode. Now I know what you're thinking, and I'm also thinking they got a little taste of amazing. Man, I don't know what happened there. I put the amazing hat on and all I saw was money. As you can see, they did a really good job at the old think tank at Smilegate headquarters. To put this in perspective for NA and EU, if they did this to us, it would literally just Thanos snap the player base again, just like Argos did. It rewards the people that spend money over the people that invest time, because no player can actually get to the point of being able to do a con on hard mode if they're a casual. You got to play like 6 or more characters a week, which just isn't realistic or fun for anyone. And no, I don't want to do 24 Chaos Dungeons every day. Nobody does. And when you look at Clown, which we'll be getting pretty soon, Korean players say to make sure that you're 15 or more item levels above him because he's so hard. So when we look at the bare minimum for a con hard mode and it's 1600, it doesn't bode well. And we were talking about it in Discord a bit, and the screenshot really says it all, honestly. And it really made me think and made it seem kind of crazy to me, because if the prestige in the game is supposed to be hell mode and there's no prestige on hard mode, then the only reason to gate hard mode to like such a small percentage of people is to force the FOMO push, which, as we've seen, it works in NA and EU. And normal mode is so easy it's not even fun to do most of the time. Even the old game director said he wanted all the raids to be puggable, so the new game directors must have taken that and wanted to make it so the only way to pug hard mode early on and have the fun is to FOMO the item level. And when we take a look at the new gear that a con gives that resets the enhancement rates for the new materials, it gives you a much better conversion rate the harder you wail. So it actually just creates like a loop of toxicity, which is crazy. I never thought I'd see something like that. Again, we've seen it on NA with like every raid release that's like, oh yeah, the majority of people are 14, like 15 or whatever for the release of Vulcan. And I was sitting there, I was like, man, I've seen like 30 or 40 people at 14, 15. Next thing you know, the boss comes out and everybody FOMO pushes. It's absolutely crazy. They're just pressuring people into FOMO spending money just to do the new thing. And I think we're going to see that continuously in this game, because it seems to be the direction of it in the future. And the Esther weapon, which is literally just a whale exclusive weapon because of how much it costs, is just going to be more money to be stronger again, really. And I don't really see the point of Esther weapons outside of whales feeding the game money like directly. I'll never have one because it's just silly to me. But I mean, everybody can spend their money the way they want, and that's no problem. But I would like to see the item level requirement for the new raid dropped by like 20 for normal and for hard mode, simply because there's no prestige in them. And I guess prospectively, you could say there is some prestige in doing like the later gates of Belshazzar on hard mode for like the pet or whatever it is, right? But like when you look at Vicus and Vault in hard mode, you can't tell me a casual player shouldn't be allowed to do those when they come out, which is already what happened on NA and EU, right? They weren't the item level for those things. They were far below it, actually. So it was a little bit of a doomer rant there, but I'd like to see the item levels drop so it doesn't feel like I'm getting milked while the player base dries up from insane mismanagement, which is very apparently happening. Because I actually do still enjoy the game, surprisingly. Mostly because I play once every 3 days while we're in the waiting room for the new content. Because the reality is the new raid is going to be exciting. It's going to be fun to do. It's going to be all we care about. And we really care about how we're going to get rich off of it. So a lot of people have been talking about alt parking spots for materials so that we can abuse the low self-control of whales and the crazy amount of FOMO people get stuck in. So for the Econ patch, you'd want to park as many characters as possible at 1580 for the new Guardian raid in the dungeon, just to farm as many materials as possible. But for NA and EU, how do we benefit with Cuckoo coming out? Most of our main alt parking spots are at 14, 15, but people already knew that. So the people that want to get more out of their alts or more out of the game in general for when the new stuff comes out, we have to start looking into the future so that we can make use of our whale friends. Speed-wise, daily-wise, like just to speed your time up, 1445 is a good gold gen, and it trivializes everything in you can do in a day. Relic gear makes your character ridiculously strong compared to Argos gear, so it genuinely is worth getting to just to speed your daily grind up, which your time is more valuable than anything, so just get on top of that. Getting alts to that stage makes a massive difference. The next big parking spot is going to be 1490. This is going to give us access to the new Guardian Raid Caligos, Magic Dragon, and the Chaos Dungeon, which both have the brand new enhancing materials for Brelshaza gear. So the more characters you have here, the more money you're going to be able to milk early on. So the best time to push your characters to 1490 is when the market's crazy bloated with all the old mats and everything's down to 1 gold. Especially when we look at the Brelshaza gear conversion chart and we see how much of a bigger jump you're getting when you're upgrading your gear to her gear versus the Icon gear. The Brel FOMO is real and people spend a ton of money on it. So if NA releases like KR did and we get normal mode, the push to 1520 as regular play will still be annoying, but somewhat easier because we're going to have the current stuff for so long. This also means, though, parking those characters at 1490 is going to make you insane money when she actually does come out, because people are going to need their materials to upgrade that gear. It's just going to be the whale fiesta we always dreamed about. And then after that, we're going to get Algacia with no big material change. You can farm the dragon or push to 1540 and farm the gorilla. He has the same mats as the dragon. So you're probably looking to just float those ults at 1490 at that stage of the game and hard push your main to 1580. Then with the Icon release, you'll get the new materials at 1580 with the new Guardian and the new Chaos Dungeons. So hitting those breakpoints early is massive because the game always rewards getting in early. And especially if you don't care about pushing for the first week or two, you're going to be giga rich. And finally, the last benefit for pushing 1580 is a higher tier boss rush. So along with this raid update that they get, there's going to be a pretty crazy class balance. So last time they did class balance, NA and EU also got the class balance fairly quickly. So I want to go over that because there's some big changes that I really want to get my hands on. And Berserker got it on 100 with the burst tech change. I'll be going it all in detail in the next Berserker update video. There will be min-max for Cuckoo the Clown, and it might just break the meta. It's an insanely strong buff. The crit damage changing to outgoing damage really opened the build up for so many options and just made it way more fun to play with bigger numbers. I do want to say rest in peace to the 385% meme crit damage build the boys built. We will miss you, but your update is the strongest, and I cannot wait to show everyone its true potential. As for Warlord, I got a pretty big quality of life on a tripod. Extra range is always needed, pretty much on every skill, and I don't play Warlord, so I don't even know if they use this tripod, so let me know if they do in the comments. As for Destroyer, don't get me started on the level of bonk. It's going through the roof, and all these changes just make it even more bonktastic. The new movement skill itself is just insanely clean and has decent damage on it too. It really makes getting to the front of the boss a lot easier. But the main change we're seeing is with all these skills, they're getting their dead tripods removed that nobody used. And they're swapped with gravity gauge % increase. And that simply means for our non-destroyer means that for the gravity training engraving, you're going to get to bonk even more. Now for the awakening ability Terror Break, you already know I did it the best right here. But in game, it's going to get an attack speed buff that just makes it insanely clean to use. But now one of the biggest changes, and personally one of my favorite, is making gravity training a real engraving. It got massive buffs and it's just insanely powerful now. And I think we'll be seeing it a lot more as a meta build in the future that'll really shake things up. You basically just become unkillable with tons of bonk damage that comes with a ridiculous amount of stagger, and I could not be more excited. I really hope they keep going down this path of making all the off-meta engravings actually good, because it just makes the game better as a whole. So with Infighter, 4% nerf, probably still fine. Soul Master, again, small nerf. Nothing crazy, especially if you're doing that Broken Bone one-shot ultimate build. And as for Lancer, you got a nice little buff to at least half of your kit if you play Pinnacle. But now getting into Artillerist, and I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about this, and that one guy had crazy DPS in that clip, and then a couple more have been popping up actually. So where there is a will to make something work, there is a way, and there are some pretty substantial buffs in here, and just you take a quick scroll. At a glance, it's nothing but good things. I don't play Artillerist / Blaster, so again, let me know what you think about these buffs if it's your main, but I've already seen it do disgusting things with the double engraving build, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what people can make work with the single engraving builds that Smilegate seems to be focusing on for the future. And as we can see on Loawa, people have already done a big swap over to Artillery Enhancement, which is Barrage Enhancement on the NA client. Now for Hawkeye, small little boof, nothing wrong with that, and the same thing for Scouter. And I don't know what the weather machine is, but hopefully it can make it rain on my garden so they can grow bigger and stronger. Gunslinger got a small shotgun buff and a few changes to weak point detection on 2 skills, and then a 5% damage buff in Peacemaker to the shotgun damage, but a 15% crit chance. So however that works out to be, if it's a DPS increase or decrease, we'll find out soon enough. But we do know that they got 5% flat for handguns, so congratulations to the handgun gamers. And as for Summoner, we saw massive buffs, and I know a lot of people couldn't believe they actually went through, but that spec change alone is massive enough. And just a quick scroll again, these are nothing but positives, and as one of the least played classes in the game, it's kind of cool to see it get a buff, and all the animation updates it got were the real win here, because if you look cool, you're way stronger than anybody else around you anyways. And I've just seen random clips popping up of some of the new stuff, and it really got taken to the next level, so anybody who's looking forward to Summoner is definitely going to be excited for it. And as for the engravings, it's a lot, and I really don't want to read it all, but it's a bunch of buffs again. And the stuff is all linked in the description if you really want to read it all and deep dive it. But it's all really good, and it's going to make Summoner an absolute unit. And finally, Arcana Infinity Shower removed. Nobody used that skill anyways, but there's a brand new skill that I haven't gone out of my way to look at all. So that'll be a lot of fun when we get to see that. Don't forget, if you have tripods for the old skill, you get like a little token you can click for tripods for the new skills and under the new tripod system, which hopefully we get sooner than later. And then there's some random skill changes that might make a pretty big difference. I'll have to try it on my own to make my own opinion about it. But I did hear that the 4 of a kind buff is actually pretty solid. So we'll have to wait and see what kind of numbers we get crunched on it. It's good to see them trying to make all of the classes better and more fun by making the dead skills actually not terrible. And hopefully that's at least the goal for the future. And on top of all that, for Arcana, they gave us a couple new cards to spam and not keep any track of, which I really do appreciate. And the big change to the engraving is having a level 3 Emperor engraving is actually going to give you 80% extra damage on the Emperor card, and some of the combos you're going to be able to do might actually end up being pretty insane. So it's a pretty solid balance update all around. Berserker got that crazy engraving buff. Arcana, Summoner, and Destroyer all got crazy buffs, good fixes to their skills. And I really just can't wait to see the rest of it, honestly. And for all the real ones that always stay till the end of the video, I've been having some computer issues the last few weeks, but I think I finally got them all sorted out. That was insanely frustrating. So we should be back in full action, and I've got some stuff coming up that I hope you'll really enjoy. With that, I want to thank all my patrons. Thanks again for the extra support. It helps out a lot. And I just want to say, make sure you stay beautiful, blessed, and safe out there so that I can see you in the next one.